Hi, it's Lerald, and I'm going to talk about one of my favorite early currency strategies and one of the entire PoE community's favorite early currency strategies, Heist. But before I do, be sure to like and subscribe if you find this video helpful and want to see more like it. Alright, let's just get right into it. What is so good about Heist? I think the main thing that is useful about Heist and why people like it so much is it just generates a bunch of basic currency very easily and very cheaply. In terms of what it actually makes, we're really just talking about random bubblegum currency, chaos orbs, alch orbs, vol orbs, chisels, all that kind of thing. Now, you can also get some special unique items and extremely valuable bases for high-end crafting from the higher end of Heist, and I will talk about that a bit more toward the end of the video, but just very early on in a league, just spam running low-level Heists for the bare minimum of currency is very popular because it's probably the best way to do it in the game. Now, in terms of whether it's fun, I would say if you're playing a fast-moving build, Toxic Ray Pathfinder, yes. If you're playing a slow-moving build, some of the flavors of Miner, or potentially some of the more cringe melee builds that are going to be out there this league, no, not so much. In terms of what you do, Heist is basically an alternate end-game 2 mapping. It's something you can do in tandem with mapping, obviously, and it's not really about killing dudes unlike mapping. It's mainly about running through a long hallway full of dudes, ignoring all of them, grabbing the treasure at the end of the hallway, and then running back out the way you came. Now, as for the, main driver, the main mechanics of Heist, Rogue's Markers are the main currency that you use in Heist. They are both the reward from successfully completing missions and also the thing that you have to spend in order to do missions. You can find them everywhere, but most commonly you'll either get them from doing Heist or from smugglers' caches, which you can find in maps. Those also contain contracts and blueprints, and contracts are the sort of map equivalent of Heist, and blueprints are sort of the super map equivalent. They're basically 3 or 4 contracts thrown together with more fancy possible rewards at the end. Now, just to briefly mention the map device option for Heist, you can get a couple of additional smugglers' caches added to your maps. I'm not sure if it's being changed in the coming league. I didn't see anything in the patch notes, so probably not, but at least how it has worked for the last couple leagues is it costs 6 chaos orbs and gives you 2 additional smugglers caches, which means at least 2 more contracts, potentially some blueprints in there, potentially more contracts than that. It's a pretty high investment at league start to spend 6 chaos on a map. It does pay off once you're able to afford it, but still pretty expensive early on. Now, to briefly talk about the Atlas passives for Heist, this is a sample Atlas tree I put up to that is for both Heist and Essences, and then also it has some map nodes in it here as well, as you can see. And this is not necessarily something, again, that I recommend if you're just doing Heist or during day 1, which is the approach that I will take. I'm not going to spec into any of the nodes for Heist, but if you enjoy Heist and you want to get in there and blast it for days, then you absolutely should invest into it in the passive tree. So one of the things that changed with all of the other league mechanics in patch 3.24 was that all of them gained the ability to 100% guarantee them on the Atlas passive tree without any scarabs, and then they also all gained scarabs. Heist didn't get either of those. You can get a 40% chance to guarantee a smuggler's cache. That's obviously less than 100. Not a guarantee at all, really. So, not as good, not as consistent, but given that all you have to do is run into the map, see the smuggler's cache, click it, and then now you have it. It's not really the same time investment as every single other league mechanic is either. There are 2 other nodes here. There's this one on No Honor Among Thieves, which makes it so that if you have smugglers caches in your map, you have a 5% chance to have 6 extra smugglers caches. So that's only about a 2% chance overall if your maps have a 40% chance, which I guess they have, since everything has a 8% base chance. I guess it's technically more like a 48% chance. So, a 5% chance on top of that, about a 2.5% chance for this to actually trigger. But when it does, 7 times or 600% extra reward. That's pretty good. And then there's a lot of other stuff going on there as well. Casing the joint makes it so you have a chance for, you get a lot more blueprints, which are valuable, and then they have a 10% chance to drop fully revealed, which is very valuable. Those will usually be worth just a full divine when that happens. There There's some other stuff in here that's pretty useful. The finer arts makes it so that your contracts are more weighted toward being deception, which is good. Those are far and away the most valuable. I think I mentioned secret stash. Maybe I glossed over it. Anyway, just more chance to get them. Friends in high places is really only something you want if you're going to be running them yourself. It just makes it so that the contracts are more rewarding. If you're selling to other people, you don't care about that at all. You don't care what their reward is. You probably want them to get less so that more money goes to you. If you're running these yourself, then taking friends in high places is good. And then finally, the weirdest one by far is the Dutiful Soldier, which makes it so that Huck will accompany you throughout your maps. This is actually a roaming buff bot, more or less. So this can be really useful, especially if you've kitted your Huck out so that he's like got very valuable items on that are giving you auras like haste or pride or whatever that can be really good. Having Huck there to give you buffs can be great, but not necessarily something you really want to invest in unless you just really love Heist. Heists have a map tier, an area level that is very comparable to map tier, and the higher the tier of the contract or the blueprint, the higher the value stuff will come from it, just like with mapping. They don't scale with quant though. Like this map or this contract right here, they have a different job, so the deception one is more valuable because deception is more valuable than agility, but if they were both deception contracts and one was rare and one was white, they would be the same. This means that there's no real reason to roll your contracts and blueprints, and honestly, just for the sake of like ease of completion, ease of making it all stay safe, you could arguably justify just scouring everything just so that it's as super easy as it possibly can be. All right, now I'm going to jump to the PoE wiki page because I want to talk very briefly about the rogues. You start with 3, but there are a total of 9. You unlock the 6 remaining rogues by doing contracts with the ones who you have initially. And there's a very specific order of unlocks. So you do a run with Tibbs, that will unlock Tolina. You do a run with Tolina, that will unlock Nanette. That's it. That's the extent of that chain. You do a run with Karst, that'll unlock Huck. Do one with Huck, that unlocks Niles. Do one with Niles, that unlocks Vendere, and then do one with Vendere, and that'll unlock Gianna. And Isla does not have any friends, so you really don't need to do any runs with her at all. Now, all of the rogues have skills. There are different skill sets. All of them, other than Huck, have a skill that they can natively get up to level 5. And that is useful. They're basically always the best at that particular job. Karst, for example, the best lockpick. You know, Karst the lockpick, best at lockpicking. What a shock. Tolina, the cat burglar, best at agility, and so on. So generally speaking, you want to use the person who's best at the job on that specific job. Huck is kind of a weird standout because even though he can help you in maps, he's mostly kind of worthless. He's mostly crap. He does give you increased XP gain, so that can be useful in maps more than in Heist. You don't really get that much XP in Heists. There are 2 notable guys here that I would say, other than Huck, obviously, for his like XP gain and stuff. The 2 notable guys I would say are Karst, because he has much less raising of alert level from opening reward chests, which I'll talk about that a bit more, but that's a very good stat. And then Vendere, because he has increased raising of alert level, but he has a chance to duplicate the contents of Heist chests. Gianna also is valuable just simply because she has an extra blueprint reveal when you complete a mission with her, and she has much lower blueprint revealing cost. So doing blueprints basically requires running deception missions with Gianna to get those cheap blueprint reveals, and then that's pretty much all there is to her, right? You run deception blueprints with her, get those reveals, use those to reveal blueprints, the end. Now, rogues can level up all of their skills. It's an RPG, so you level up all of their skills, and then you can also wear gear that levels up their skills. There are 4 pieces of gear for every rogue. There's gear that increases their damage, which is mostly worthless. There is this stat here, though, and, says what their combat style is, so you can try and line that up. It's not going to have a huge impact. These items can also increase or grant player auras to you, which can be useful. Things like pride, haste, that kind of thing can be pretty good. There are brooches that will give you a chance to duplicate currency from the rogues. That can be useful. There are cloaks that reduce the amount of alert level that the rogues generate. Let's see if I have any items on any of these characters. I don't. I bet I have a stash tab. Everything migrated over to standard. So yeah, here are some items. Weapons help with their damage. Cloak reduces raising of alert level. The brooches help with getting more stuff. You can make it so that items will be duplicated. And then there are the job specific items that you want to put onto specific guys. So this one would be for Tolina. and they can have different stats on them, but the most important one is skill level. It will increase their levels at different jobs, and it will make them perform their jobs faster. It can also make it so that they can you can take a heist companion on jobs they wouldn't normally be able to do, and then have them benefit from that skill. For example, if you were able to get, say, skill up with perception on Karst, you could take Karst on a level 4 perception mission and then, actually benefit from his super awesome heist perks, as opposed to having to go with Ninette, whose value is a good bit lower. Contracts are the main thing that you do in Heist. You run them. They are the equivalent of maps. They can drop in maps. They can drop in a lot of places. The only place that I can think of that they can't drop is contracts. They probably can't drop in a lot of different League mechanics. I don't know if I've ever seen one in a Delve. Never thought about it. You can also buy them from Fakano the Barber. Now, he caps at level 67, so once you finish the campaign, that's not really super useful, but every time you level up, he will refresh his page, so you can come buy from him at like level 62, buy them all if you have enough chance orbs to buy them all, then do it again at 63, 64, and so on, and buy up a huge supply of contracts if that is the route that you want to go. This is something a lot of people will do. Before they kill Kitava, they will come into Heist, they will spend a bunch of time doing all the heists, getting some levels out of that, getting a bunch of random bubblegum currency and a bunch of rares to use for the chaos recipe, and then have a much stronger character going into the into maps, having already killed Kitava, but having built up a bunch of currency and gear to progress directly into maps with that minus 30 res penalty that you get from killing Kitava. So every contract has a job associated with it, and every rogue has a job or a set of jobs associated with them. So your ability to send people on different contracts, take them with you on those contracts, is going to be contingent upon what job they have available. Okay, so I have a deception contract here, and Janna is the rogue that is the best at doing deception contracts. You'll have your options of who you can take with you, but Janna's the best, so we're going to go with Janna, and I'll just run this contract and talk a little bit about what I do in these normally as I'm going along. So just to give the kind of very briefest overview, for the most part, when I am in a heist contract, especially at League start, I will tap some of the lockers along the way. But for the most part, I'm just trying to rush to the end. You're able to see the whole map. It's unveiled, as you can see. The map is revealed the whole way through. So, I'm looking at the alert level bar as I'm going along. I'm trying to make sure that I don't prematurely fill it. I don't want to fill it before I get to the end. I want to just get to the end, open any doors that are along the way. And then that's pretty much it. I'm just making a race directly to the end. Open that, grab it, get out, we're gone. And this is the thing that's nice about the deception contracts, is as you can see, all the doors are still open. Nothing has locked behind us. And we're in and out in, I don't know how quickly that was, but a minute, something like that, pretty quick. So that is the thing that's super great about deception contracts, and it's a big reason why other contracts might sell in bulk for 1 or 2 chaos each, and deception contracts will sell for 5 times that much, because they are nice and quick, and they give you those reveals for blueprints. Now, after you finish a heist, you want to come over to Faustus Defense and sell whatever it is that you stole and get those rogues markers, and that's sort of the basic gameplay loop, and then any of the items that I picked up from chests along the way could bring those out with me. Now, there is a rule in Heist where anything that you pick up in the heist, and I can show this off by running a second heist here, just to very briefly show this off. We'll start up this agility heist. Anything that you pick up in the heist will be counted as contraband, which means that if you die, you will drop it. This means if you just try to, let's say a divine orb dropped, or why not, we're fantasizing, right? Let's say it's a mirror. If I came in here and I open this chest and a mirror drops, and I pick it up, and then I go through the rest of the run, and I get to the end, and I grab the thing, and I come back out, and then I die on the way out, I will drop it, and then the thing will close because the alert has been raised, and they close the door if you die at that point. This is obviously bad. So there's a way to lock items into your inventory, and that is, if you pick up something and it's contraband and you haven't already hit 100% alert level yet, you can just walk out, and boom. Now it's not contraband anymore. It's fine. So that's pretty much the extent of how contraband items work, and rather than finishing this this contract, I'm just going to move on to talking about blueprints. Blueprints are a more expanded version of contracts. They have the same basic philosophy of being speedy, involving rogues, and all of that, but there is a bit more setup. So this is a contract, or a blueprint rather, that has 4 wings to it. We can take it over to Fakano and unveil the wings, and I'll do that with Jana. I'll unveil all the wings, and as you can see, the price of them goes up. This first wing was like 22k, second was like 2900, and this one is 3600. Every time you reveal stuff, the price goes up more. Because of that, and because of the very high expense of the rogue's markers, it's generally best to not do any unveils that don't involve Jana, and to not unveil any of the reward rooms on the side. You're really just trying to race through straight to the end rooms in all of the blueprints, just like you are in contracts. That was a lag spike, or a rubber band. So then once you have unveiled the 4 wings, you can bring them into the planning room here and throw it in, and then you just assign rogues accordingly, and generally speaking, you just want to assign the rogue who has the highest level for each given job. One little wrinkle with setting your NPCs in, setting your rogues in to do the wings, is that sometimes the best option for like 2 given jobs will be the same person. Usually this will involve Vinderi, since he is the best at both trap disarmament and at bombs or explosives. Ultimately, if you apply one person to 2 jobs on a single wing, there's only going to be that one person. So if ever possible, you want to always have 3 different unique rogues applied to the 3 jobs, even if one of them is maybe not the optimal one. You want to have 3 guys rather than 2, always. All right, that looks like a good set of rogues assigned to do this wing, so that's it. I'll go ahead and lock them in, and then we're going to go talk to Adia and set this up and go ahead and just start running this. Now, something also that I need to mention about blueprints and contracts is you can leave them if you haven't raised the alert level on a contract, and if you haven't raised the alert level on all 4 wings of a blueprint, you can leave the heist and return to the Rogue Harbor, and the door won't shut. As you can see, door's not shut. I can come back here and throw stuff back in my stash, and then jump back into the Grand Heist. So, if you are stopping and picking up a bunch of stuff and your inventory is full, once you finish a wing, you can take the teleporter back out, take the portal back out, drop all your stuff in the stash, then jump back right into the blueprint and continue running it. All right, now I'm going to run a wing of this blueprint and kind of just show off what I do when I'm in here. Generally speaking, I am trying to zoom to the end. Now, something I have noticed, I have an affinity for fancy looking MTX, nice fancy swirly MTX around my character. I love all that lighting up, and obviously that does make it a little harder to see your mini map when you're tabbed, so that's in the middle of the screen. So I usually do keep it up in the top corner when I'm heisting, just because it's the option of either, you know, look bad or see bad, and I'd rather see bad than look bad. Now, you'll note that I pass by all the reward rooms. That is something you can stop and do. You can. Generally speaking, when I'm doing blueprints, when I'm doing contracts, I like to just grab the little chests along the way, these little guys. Anytime I'm waiting on a door to open, I'll stop and click those things. But otherwise, I'm just trying to get to the end and then back to the entrance as fast as I can the whole time. Now, as you can see, there is a bit of a difference here in this Grand Heist, in that all of the rewards here are actual items that you can use. There can be currency in here, there can be replica uniques, there can be experimental bases, but the point is there is different stuff in here than just sort of a random item that you go sell to Fakano to Faustus for rogues markers. And that's kind of the big value that is added by doing blueprints, is all this fun random stuff, much of which is garbage, but some of which can be good. So whenever I'm kind of in doubt at the end of a blueprint wing, I'll kind of clear everything out back behind me, then I'll pull up PoE Ninja, I'll start typing things in and just figure out what is the most valuable of these blueprint items. If nothing is particularly valuable, one min-max move that you can do is, instead of taking anything and causing a lockdown and then having to fight your way out and open doors, deal with traps and all, is you can just leave and then finish the rest of the wings of the Grand Heist, and then just, instead of running this wing, just open another contract or Grand Heist over the top of it and just overwrite it. That is probably the right move to do here, but I'm going to grab this accumulator wand and make my way out, because I think that would be more visually interesting and you know, that's really what it's all about. So ultimately, I'm just going to make my way out by hitting all of the traps along the way. And once I'm out and safe, then I'll do the other wings in the blueprint and do all of that until I've done all the wings. And then I move on to the next contract or next blueprint along the way. Obviously, if you're on kind of a tanky character, and I definitely am, you can just run through all of the traps. But, you know, there is the chance that maybe you overestimate your tankiness. Not on this character, but on a character closer to League start. You overestimate your tankiness and die and lose everything that you would have gotten out of the blueprint. That's no good. Nobody wants that. So I prefer to just always wait on the traps. But again, play it however you feel, whatever is right for your build. All right, that's it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the Rogues Harbor. Bye.